embrace some of those policies and allow more employees to work remotely or to work off-site? Do we face any potential discrimination if we do not allow them to work in Moorhead, Minnesota, instead of Fargo, North Dakota? And then if it's Moorhead, Minnesota, why can't it be Minneapolis or Omaha or Tampa or the Cayman Islands?
KFGO Weather Center forecast about 72 for our high this afternoon, and we have just hit 72 at our KFGO studios. Overnight, we expect to be partly cloudy. Meteorologist Tom Szymanski says 46 for the low. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, another windy day, and 74. 66, sunny Wednesday. Thursday, mostly sunny, 68. Friday, sunshine, 79. And then for the weekend, at this point, Saturday, Sunday, they look to be clear to partly cloudy, somewhat breezy at times. Highs for the weekend, 70 to 75 degrees. Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny, it's 72. Paul Juergens, News Radio KFGO.
Squad 51, Station 51, see the man. The Mighty 790 KFGO, good afternoon and welcome. KFGO time coming up on 4:12. It's 12 after 4. Welcome back to The Drive. Got your messages on Bon Scott and Brian Johnson. Yep, Bon Scott is on the recording of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Bon died in 1980, and Brian Johnson has been the lead vocalist for AC/DC since that time. So Brian Johnson, the lead singer for AC/DC, is 73 years old today, which is why we used our tune. But yeah, that is Bon Scott on the 1976 recording of that tune. What if they ever recorded it after 1976? I do not know that. Well, you hear the emergency theme on The Drive this afternoon. That can only mean one thing. It's time to check in with the chief. It's time to check in with the Fargo Fire Chief, Steve Dirkson, who joins us this afternoon. Steve Dirkson, sir, how are you this afternoon?
Hey, I'm doing great today, Dan. How are you guys?
Very, very well. It's great to hear from you. Always a pleasure to talk to you on Checking In with the Chief. It happens to be Fire Prevention Week in town. And Chief Dirkson, I wanted to walk through a couple of things that are going on in relation to Fire Prevention Week. So as, we all look at it as fire drills and changing the battery in our smoke detector and stuff like that. But let's walk through that. Chief Dirkson, what's it mean that it's Fire Prevention Week?
Well, Fire Prevention Week is the 1 week out of the year that we really step up our educational processes, and we're doing it all year long, but we really want to just have a good public focus on fire safety within our communities. Yesterday it started off the beginning of the Fire Safety Week, where nationally we recognize those firefighters who lost their lives in the last year due to their jobs of being a firefighter, whether it was in a home fire or in a car accident or maybe a wildland fire or whatever it might be. It really started yesterday with the recognizing those folks that gave the ultimate sacrifice in the last year, and then really saying, you know what, these don't need to happen if we take a great step moving forward and really work to prevent fires in our homes and our businesses. And
I want to talk about the ad campaign to get that message across, which is seemingly eternal and et cetera. But are the fire members of the Fargo Fire Department going to be involved in any kind of ceremonies, et cetera, this week because of what you just talked about with the loss of firefighters over the years?
No, we're not doing anything locally here with that. We took part in and watched and participated in the National Memorial that took place out in Emmitsburg, Maryland yesterday at the National Fire Academy.
Okay. So getting into Fire Prevention Week around here, so are you guys going out? Are teams of firefighters going to be out and about more publicly this week? Are you going to be doing any demonstrations, anything like that, where you're going to be engaging the public this week as part of Fire Prevention Week?
COVID has really kind of halted some of that because a lot of the things that we do are hands-on, but there's a lot of information that we've put forward. We're going to be with programs in the schools. We've recorded videos where we're not allowed to go into the classrooms or where they don't want us there and where we don't want to be, just in case, to keep that physical distancing thing what we need to do in this time frame. But we've recorded videos, and we have a message that we have for the students in K through 2, on a fire safety message on how they can be safe in their homes and things that they need to watch for. And it's part of our overall school program where we try to reach those kids each and every year and give a 3-year program and walk them through various fire safety tips and some education. So hopefully we start some early patterns of good behavior when it comes to fire safety within our younger population.
Chief Steve Dirkson of the Fargo Fire Department, Fargo's bravest, is joining us today. It's checking in with the Chief Day, and we're also talking about Fire Prevention Week, which happens to be this week as well. We hear the fire prevention public service announcements, Chief Dirkson, all the time about having a plan in case of an emergency. How important is it to have a plan?
Well, plans are important to practice and know what you're going to do, because when an emergency situation happens, we go back to what we know. We go back to what we've trained on, what we've learned. There's a lot of research that's been done with that. So if we can practice and get into these habits, it's no different than a football player that's practicing a pass. And when he's under pressure, he's going to know where to go all of those times. And the same should be in our homes. Is how are we going to get 2 ways out? Or if it's in our business, where's the closest fire extinguisher to my place that I may need to use to fight my way out of the building should a fire happen?
And
so having those plans are really important.
You bet. Chief Steve Dirkson is joining us. We're talking about Fire Prevention Week. How about that rendezvous when you're out? I mean, the number one thing mom and dad are going to be most worried about is the health of their kids. God forbid there should be a fire in the house or the boss at work, etc. Some people might just go someplace else, get in their car. Some people might be in shock, but it's important to rendezvous when you get out, right?
Absolutely. You want to have that meeting spot once you're out so that everybody knows where to go, so that you can take a head count and make sure you've got everybody. If not, you can go to where they might be and yell for them to see where they're at. We'd never encourage anybody to re-enter the building, although we hear about that all the time. Once you're out, stay out and make sure that the fire department is called. We've got the equipment and the protective measures to go in and take care of people. So once you get out, stay out and have that rendezvous spot and do your head count. And one of the best things that I've ever heard in my career is when I pulled up on scene and it's been somebody's house on fire, and the homeowner, the mom, the dad, whoever it might be, says to me, "We've got all 4 or all 5 of us standing right over here. We're all okay. Breathe a little smoke." Those are things. Now, then I have less to worry about in the house. The people are out, and it feels much better for me. Now I can get about my business and attack that fire and put it out.
And Steve, I know right now that there are people listening to us that are going ho-hum and rolling their eyes. The complacent people out there who never think they're going to have a fire, and maybe one day they'll find themselves in the exact circumstances that we're talking about going, man, I should have had a plan, whatever. How do you overcome a complacent attitude? Oh, that's not going to happen to me.
It's the stories that you hear. It's the people that have said, "Oh, it's never going to happen to me," and then it's happened to them. There always has to be that somebody. There always is that somebody. It doesn't have to be. We can work to prevent things, but there are always people that have had that same thought. Oh, it's never going to happen to me. I'm not going to worry about it. And then just knowing that the reality is it does happen to people. It happens every day in the news. We see different things that are out there and where people have been put in danger that, it can happen to the regular, ordinary people.
That's right. And then you're relying on the Fargo Fire Department, the Moorhead Fire Department, our area fire departments, area Red Cross, and all of a sudden you find yourself in that circumstance. Chief, why are kitchen fires, cooking fires, the most prevalent kind of fire?
I think it's just something that's an everyday thing that everybody does. So there's very few days in a week, or very few times that the stove isn't on in a home or an apartment or wherever cooking. We use a lot of different appliances and things like that within our community or within our homes. But sometimes we get busy. You may be I'm gonna throw a load of laundry into the wash machine or move it from the wash machine to the dryer, and you're maybe frying some chicken or frying up a hamburger or whatever it might be, and you step away for a second and you maybe had the stove a little hotter than what you had anticipated, and it got hot enough to ignite those greases that are in the pan, and next thing you know, you've got a fire in the kitchen. For us, we're no different. Fires, cooking fires are the leading cause of fires in our community. That's where most of our fires start, are in kitchens, and a lot of times most of the time it's due to unattended cooking.
Oh, sure, you got hooked on Jeopardy or something, or hooked on Wheel of Fortune, and you walked out of the kitchen.
Yeah, or you're talking on the phone to Dan Michaels, and it's just a great conversation that you're having.
Sure.
You kind of forget what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, that's fire prevention right there. It'd be so boring you wouldn't leave your cooking. And Chief, on the way out here today, we got to get an update on the firefighters that went out west battling those wildfires.
Yeah, I am happy to say that the whole North Dakota task force, including the 4 firefighters from Fargo, have all returned home safely. All the people, all the equipment is back in its rightful community again today, and they had an interesting experience. They did a lot of fire prevention work while they were out there. Our guys had worked particularly on some historic buildings and set up some sprinkler systems to help keep water in an area if the fire threatened those historic buildings. They cleaned a lot of brush and things away to hopefully limit the fuels there. It was a long trip. They spent about 5,000 miles of travel by the time driving out there and back, and all the work that they did up in the mountains in Oregon. Slept on the ground for about 14 days in a tent. Ate about 6,000 calories a day in fire camp food. So that is one good thing. You do get fed really well when you're out on those camps.
Well, that's at least what should happen, yeah.
Yeah, but you work hard, and so you need a lot of calories every day to do those kind of things. And they were all happy to be back in Fargo, back in North Dakota. It's not easy, You're living in a camp with about 1,200 folks out there, and everybody's got different alarm clocks, and you got 1,200 people doing all the different things that they do at home at night while you're in camp, and you don't always sleep the best either. So
I bet not, boy. Well, we're awful proud of all of them for what they did. That's just incredible what the Fargo Fire Department and other firefighters in our region went and did and helped out their fellow man out west. Are those fires under control now?
Oregon, they're saying that they've got a really good handle on it. California really kind of expanded over the weekend. I think they said they had 10 fires that were burning that had over 10,000 or 100,000 acres burning as of early this morning. So, and California's had nearly 4 million acres of forest land and wild terrain that has burned so far this year. So
well, you wouldn't think
it's a bad deal out there right now.
Wouldn't think there's anything left after all these fires they've had in California. It's just truly amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, we got to run.
Okay, sounds great.
Fargo Fire Department Chief Steve Dirkson joining us today, checking in with the Chief. I can't wait till next month to check in again, Chief. Thank you so very much. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
Hey, you too. Thanks, Dan. We always appreciate being on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you. Fire Department Chief Steve Dirkson of the Fargo Fire Department, Fargo's bravest, joining us as we check in with the Chief on the drive on the Mighty 790 KFGO.
News Radio, KFGO. Are you frustrated with how long it takes to get an appointment with your doctor? Do you feel like you're getting passed along from one